What if I told you that the fastest, most powerful production car on Earth, a machine capable of hitting 261 miles per hour, is built entirely by hand by just 20 people in a building so pristine it looks more like an art gallery than a factory? This is the Bugatti Chiron, a $3.5 million hypercar assembled from over 1,800 individual parts across 6 painstaking months. And today, we're going deep inside the legendary Molsheim Atelier in France to witness something that most people will never see: the birth of automotive perfection. Forget everything you think you know about car manufacturing. There are no robots here, no assembly lines, no rushing. Just human hands, obsessive precision, and a philosophy the French call haute couture de l'automobile, high fashion for automobiles. This isn't just engineering, this is art. Let's get into it. Section 1. The Molsheim Atelier, the Dream Factory. Nestled in the quiet Alsace region of northeastern France sits Molsheim, the ancestral home of Bugatti since 1909. And at the heart of this historic estate is a building unlike any other in the automotive world, the Atelier. Now, most car factories are loud, chaotic places filled with sparks flying from robotic welding arms and conveyor belts moving at breakneck speed. But step inside the Bugatti Atelier and you'd swear you walked into an operating room. The floor is a gleaming white synthetic resin that's actually conductive, designed to dissipate any electrostatic charges that could damage sensitive components. It's so clean, so pristine, that the team deliberately chose a reflective surface to create what they call a fashion house atmosphere. And here's what's crazy. This entire operation spans just over 10,000 square feet. That's smaller than most car dealerships. Yet this is where the world's most powerful production super sports car comes to life. But here's the real kicker. Only 20 employees build the Chiron. 20. That's it. 20 elite craftsmen assembling what many consider the greatest hypercar ever made. These aren't just mechanics. They're surgeons, artists. Each one has undergone years of specialized training, and together they can only produce a maximum of 70 Chirons per year. That's not because they're slow, it's because perfection takes time. The Atelier was originally built in 2005 for the legendary Veyron, but it was extensively upgraded when the Chiron came along. Why? Because cramming 1,500 horsepower into a street-legal car required an entirely new level of complexity. And unlike traditional factories, there are no conveyor belts here. Instead, the Chiron is built at 12 individual stations, much like a Formula One racing team's workshop. Each vehicle sits at a station for days, sometimes weeks, as craftsmen meticulously assemble it by hand. The production chief at Bugatti put it best: "We're not building cars, we're creating haute couture de l'automobile." Section 2. The carbon fiber monocoque, where it all begins. Let's start where every Chiron begins its journey, with the monocoque. And what is a monocoque? It's essentially the skeleton of the car, the central cockpit structure that everything else attaches to. But this isn't any ordinary skeleton. The Chiron's monocoque is crafted entirely from carbon fiber reinforced plastic, or CFRP. We're talking 100% carbon fiber, and it weighs just 330 pounds. Think about that for a second. The structural backbone of a 4,400-pound hypercar weighs less than most adult humans. When a new monocoque arrives at the Atelier, something almost ceremonial happens. 4 steel pins rise from that pristine white floor, and 2 technicians carefully place the carbon framework onto an assembly platform. This is the birth of a Chiron. Here's a mind-blowing fact. The carbon fiber in a single monocoque, if you laid out all the individual fibers end to end, would stretch 9 times the distance from Earth to the Moon. 9 times. For one car. Now, the first major task is installing what Bugatti calls the nerve system of the Chiron, the wiring harness. And this isn't your average bundle of wires. This harness is 1.5 miles long. That's 2.5 kilometers of cables snaking through the cockpit. connecting 20 different control units that manage everything from the adaptive suspension to the climate control to the 1,500 horsepower engine. The mechanics secure these cables to the monocoque using titanium screws. Why titanium? Because every single gram matters when you're engineering a car to break speed records. These screws are incredibly strong, resistant to corrosion and featherlight. At this stage, the Chiron is just a carbon shell filled with wires, but over the coming weeks, it will transform into something extraordinary. Section 3. The W16 engine, the heart of the beast. Now, here's where things get really insane. The Chiron's engine isn't built in France. It's built 400 miles away in Salzgitter, Germany, in a secret hall at the Volkswagen engine plant reserved exclusively for Bugatti. And get this, only 8 technicians in the entire world are certified to build this engine. 8 people. That's it. They're considered the absolute elite of engine mechanics, and they work in pairs to hand assemble each power plant. The W16 engine is an absolute monster. 8 liters of displacement, 16 cylinders arranged in a W configuration, 4 turbochargers, and a staggering 1,500 horsepower at 6,700 RPM with 1,180 pound-feet of torque. But here's what truly sets this engine apart. It's made up of 3,700 individual components, and every single one is assembled by hand. It takes 2 elite technicians 6 full days, basically 1 week, to assemble a single W16 engine. That's why Bugatti can only produce 3 of these engines per week. The process is methodical and unforgiving. First, the pistons are installed in the 16 cylinders and connected to the crankshaft. Then, using an electronic Torx wrench, technicians simulate engine operation to ensure there's zero friction against the cylinder walls. Any imperfection at this stage could cause catastrophic engine failure at 250 miles per hour. 4 camshafts are bolted to the cylinder banks, 2 per bank, each weighing about 2.2 pounds. These control the precise fuel-air mixture ratio. Then 16 spark plugs are inserted, ready to generate between 500 and 3,500 sparks per minute to ignite the fuel. But they're not done yet. Before any engine leaves Salzgitter, it's strapped to a test bench for 8 grueling hours. The engine is pushed to its absolute limits. Full power, maximum RPM, extreme temperatures. Only when it survives this torture test is it packed up and shipped to Molsheim. Here's something wild. The final dimensions of the W16 are 4 times larger than a standard passenger car engine. Yet despite its size, it's no bigger than a conventional V12. Thanks to that ingenious W configuration, the engine alone weighs about 880 pounds. Combined with the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, the complete powertrain tips the scales at 1,383 pounds and costs around $300,000. Section 4. The marriage, joining 2 halves into one. Now comes the moment Bugatti calls the marriage, one of the most critical steps in building a Chiron. At the Atelier, there are 2 chassis building platforms where 3 employees spend approximately 1 week assembling the chassis. Here's how it works. The rear end of the vehicle is built around the powertrain, the 1,500 horsepower engine and transmission. Meanwhile, on a separate platform, the carbon fiber monocoque receives its wiring harness, cooling pipes, and front suspension components. The Chiron has an incredibly complex cooling system. 3 water pumps circulate coolant through pipes as wide as a fire hose. The coolant flows to the engine along the driver's side and returns on the passenger's side. This system is so critical because at full throttle, this hypercar generates enough heat to melt lesser components. When both halves are ready, the team maneuvers the 1,650-pound rear section toward the monocoque. This is a tense moment. The 2 pieces must align perfectly. If anything is off by even a fraction of an inch, the entire assembly must be taken apart and adjusted. And here's the engineering genius. The 2 sections are joined by just 14 titanium bolts. That's it. 14 bolts holding together a machine capable of 261 miles per hour. Why so few? because each titanium bolt is incredibly strong, yet weighs only 1.2 ounces. These aren't ordinary fasteners. They're aerospace-grade connectors designed to withstand forces that would shatter conventional steel bolts, but there's also a safety reason for this two-piece design. If the Chiron ever crashes and the engine catches fire, the rear section is designed to tear away from the cockpit, protecting the driver from the flames. It's brilliant engineering disguised as simplicity. The only electronic tool used in chassis assembly is an EC nut runner system. This stores a data curve for each of the 1,800 bolted joints on the Chiron, with documentation required for 1,068 of them. Every bolt, every torque value. It's all recorded and traceable. Section 5, the Dynamometer, the most powerful in the world. Once the marriage is complete, the Chiron rolls forward to face its first real test, the rolling dynamometer. And this isn't just any dyno. This is the most powerful dynamometer in the world. Bugatti had to develop an entirely new unit for the Chiron because the old one couldn't absorb 1,500 horsepower and 1,180 pound-feet of torque. The modifications required included massive electrical cables capable of handling currents up to 1,200 amps. Here's something cool. The dynamometer is so powerful that it actually generates electricity during operation. Bugatti feeds this excess power back into the local grid in Molsheim, so while a Chiron is being tested, it's literally powering the neighborhood. The car is strapped down with special wheel clamps, and a technician climbs behind the wheel. For the next 2 to 3 hours, the Chiron undergoes 342 individual tests. The engine is pushed to 200 kilometers per hour, about 125 miles per hour. The transmission, ABS, stability control, mass airflow meter, clutch operation. Everything is monitored on screens as the car covers approximately 37 miles without moving an inch. If anything fails, the vehicle goes back for rework. Only perfection moves forward. Section 6. Pre-assembly at the Technology Center. Here's something most people don't realize. The Chiron's beautiful carbon fiber body panels aren't installed in the main atelier. They're prepared at a separate facility called the Technology Center, located just 650 feet away. Why a separate building? Because the exterior carbon fiber pieces are enormous and incredibly fragile. Installing them requires absolute precision, and any damage during handling would be catastrophic. At the Technology Center, body parts are mounted on special mobile frames with assembly points identical to the actual Chiron. The lighting conditions here are engineered to match the atelier exactly. This isn't just about aesthetics, it's about quality control. Under identical lighting, technicians can spot paintwork imperfections or hairline damage before the parts ever touch the car. It takes 3 to 4 days to install all the body panels, adjust the gaps, and ensure every joint is perfectly aligned. Panel gaps on a Chiron must be flawless. We're talking about tolerances measured in fractions of a millimeter on a car that costs more than most houses. The largest carbon fiber body panels, the curved side sections, are among the biggest carbon components in the entire automotive industry. Handling them requires multiple technicians working in perfect coordination. Section 7. The water test and interior assembly. Once the body is complete, the Chiron faces an unexpected challenge: artificial monsoon rain. That's right, every single Chiron is subjected to a 30-minute water test where it's blasted with varying intensities of simulated rainfall. The goal is to ensure there are absolutely zero leaks anywhere in the vehicle. Think about it. This is a car that might never see rain in its life. Many Chirons spend their existence in climate-controlled garages. But Bugatti doesn't care. Every car must be leak-proof. No exceptions. Only after passing this test does the interior assembly begin. 2 skilled craftsmen spend approximately 3 days installing the interior. Customers can choose between full leather trim or a sportier combination of leather and carbon fiber. Bugatti offers 23 leather colors, 8 Alcantara options, 31 stitching colors, 18 carpet options, and 11 seatbelt colors. But that's just the base menu. Through their La Maison Pur Sang customization program, Bugatti can match virtually any color. Want your interior to match your wife's favorite handbag? Done. Want stitching that matches the label on your preferred champagne? Bugatti will make it happen. Every Chiron is unique. No two are exactly alike. Section 8. The paint inspection, 6 hours of obsession. Now we reach the stage that truly separates Bugatti from every other manufacturer on Earth, paint inspection. Before the Chiron's exterior is even assembled, the painting process takes approximately 3 weeks. If the customer ordered visible carbon fiber, which is extremely popular, 6 layers of coating are required. For a standard top coat, up to 8 layers might be applied, depending on whether the finish is solid, metallic, or pearlescent. And here's the key. Every single layer is applied by hand. Each coat is sanded down and polished before the next one goes on. There are no shortcuts. But the real obsession happens after assembly, in what Bugatti calls the light tunnel. Here, one team member performs a relentless inspection of the finish for over 6 hours straight. 6 hours. Looking at paint, under specialized lighting designed to reveal even the tiniest imperfection. If they find anything, a microscopic dust particle, an uneven reflection, a minuscule scratch, the Chiron goes back to the paint booth. The technician then works on intensive optimization until every visible blemish is remedied. This process can take anywhere from 3 hours to 3 weeks. Yes, 3 weeks. If a highly personalized component has a flaw, Bugatti will manufacture an entirely new part rather than accept anything less than perfection. Only when the inspector gives final approval does the vehicle proceed. But the scrutiny doesn't end there. The heads of sales, quality assurance, and customer service must also sign off before any Chiron can be delivered. Section 9. The final test drive, unleashing 1,500 horsepower. Before delivery, every Chiron must prove itself in the real world. But here's the thing. You can't just take a $3.5 million hypercar for a spin. First, the entire vehicle is wrapped in thick, transparent plastic film. This process alone takes a full day. Why? Because the test drive covers over 200 miles through French countryside and onto an airport runway, and not a single scratch can be tolerated. The test driver heads out from Molsheim on a 186-mile journey through the scenic Vosges Mountains. The route includes villages, country roads, and highways, simulating every driving condition a customer might encounter. Then comes the main event, the airport in Colmar. On that runway, the Chiron is pushed beyond 155 miles per hour, testing functions that simply aren't legal on public roads. The test driver monitors engine performance, transmission behavior, and every electronic system while rocketing down the tarmac. The return trip is driven at a more relaxed pace on the Autobahn, allowing the vehicle to cool down. But the testing isn't over. Back at the atelier, the transmission oil is changed. Original wheels and underbody panels are installed, and the Chiron completes one final 31-mile test drive before receiving dynamic approval. Oh, and removing that protective film? Another full day. Section 10. The numbers that define perfection. Let's put this all into perspective with some numbers that truly boggle the mind. 20 employees assemble each car. 1,800 plus individual parts. 6 months from production, start to delivery. 9 months total from customer configuration to delivery. 3,700 components in the W16 engine alone. 8 technicians worldwide certified to build the engine. 1.5 miles of wiring harness per car. 14 titanium bolts joining the two halves. 342 tests on the dynamometer. 6+ hours of paint inspection. 70 maximum cars per year. $3.5 million starting price. Each Chiron takes approximately 1,800 man-hours to complete. That's 225 8-hour days of human labor for a single car. Section 11. Why this matters. In an age where Tesla pumps out thousands of cars per day using robots and artificial intelligence, Bugatti does the opposite. They've built a monument to human craftsmanship. The Chiron isn't just transportation, it's a statement. It says that in a world obsessed with efficiency and automation, there's still room for art, for passion, for perfection. Christophe Piochon, the head of production at Bugatti, said it best: "We're building a super sports car, but it's the way we do it, handcrafting an individual product for each customer in this very special atmosphere, that makes us unique." Every person who works on a Chiron can look at the finished product and say, "I built that." That connection between creator and creation has almost vanished from modern manufacturing. But at the Molsheim Atelier, it's everything, and that's why people pay $3.5 million. Not just for 1,500 horsepower, not just for 261 miles per hour, but for the knowledge that their car was touched by human hands at every single step. So here's my question for you. In a world where everything is mass-produced, do you think there's still a place for this level of hand-built craftsmanship? Would you pay $3.5 million, knowing that 20 skilled artisans spent 6 months creating your car? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely want to know what you think. If this video blew your mind like it did mine, smash that like button. It tells YouTube's algorithm that this content is worth sharing, and it helps more car enthusiasts discover these incredible stories. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the world's most extraordinary machines. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.